Hello and welcome back to the vlog, welcome back to Cornwall, welcome back to the car, welcome back to winter. It is kind of blustery out there, it is very windy. I don't know if you can tell from the cameras, but certainly getting into the car, I was nearly blown away. I nearly did a Mary Poppins. So that's fun. Also, there are storms rolling around, or at least very, very heavy showers. It's kind of like April showers, but worse. There's sleet and there's hail just kind of mixed in with all of the things that are falling from the sky. Stair rods, cats, dogs, and elephants, probably. So yes, about an hour ago, everything was underwater. But thankfully, all the yellow submarines have been cleared away and we can do the vlog once more in the bright winter sunshine, which is weird. We have all the weathers in... Ooh, lane departure is just going to kick off at the moment. There's a funny thing about lane departure in this car. Like, it'll beep to warn you that you are departing a lane, and then it sort of tightens the steering wheel. It has force feedback in the steering wheel, of all things. But yeah, as you can probably tell, there's a storm over there, there's a rainstorm over there, there's a rainstorm over there, there's probably one behind us as well somewhere. So yeah, we're just kind of threading the needle on this one. Good, but the weather is not what I wanted to talk about. The weather is not what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about is writing again, because I've been doing a little bit more this week. A little bit more this week. It's kind of an off again, on again thing. I am very busy with YouTube and I'm very busy with work. So you go to work, you do your 8 hours a day, you come home, you do a little bit of YouTube, which is lovely. It's nice that I'm able to do that. And I'm like, but I still want to write some short stories. I don't want to write a full novel. I just want to write a collection of short stories, which then I can just put into an anthology and then maybe put on Amazon or something like Kindle Desktop Publishing, KDP. And we've talked about this before. So we've talked about going to Arvon and learning how to write properly, which is something that I did. Oh, weird. Oh, weird. We can't get through here because the railway's shut. I did not know this. Well, I do now. I was like, wait a minute, why are there things in the middle of the road? There, the level crossing is stuck. All right, we'll do a 180. Diversion. I think I know where we can go. It's fine. I have recalculated the route in my mind. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Don't let anyone ever tell you I know what I'm doing. I'm not even a YouTuber. That's the weird thing. So yeah, anyway, I've been doing a little bit more writing. Went to Arvon, yeah, we've covered all of this before. But I've had this idea for a short story and I've been working on it sort of off and on. I'm gonna have to squirt the windows, which means that camera's gonna get... Oh, we're kind of all over the place. I'm sorry, but it's just so dynamic outside. I can't control it. I'm at a loss to control the weather and everything happening outside of the car. So yes. Take a breath. It's good. I'm glad we can have these conversations. So yeah, I had a situation a couple of weeks ago, a week ago. The car was going in for a service and an MOT, and I was going to be at the Toyota dealership for a couple of hours, because when the car gets serviced and MOT'd, one of the things they have to do is check the battery pack, which is under the passenger seats because it's a hybrid, and that takes time, and there's a bunch of things that they have to do. Oh, we're going back on the same road? We're not. So there's a bunch of things that they have to do in order to make sure everything's all working. And they're like, so it's going to take 2.5 hours. All right. Would you like a hire car? No, I'll wait. I mean, they're so far away from where I live that there's no point in taking a hire car. So I thought, naively, I'm going to have my phone there. I'm going to have my phone, I'm going to have my wireless earbuds, I can put on a little bit of music, block everyone out, and just get on with some writing. Just have a couple of hours when I don't need to focus on YouTube, don't need to focus on work, don't need to focus on eating, sleeping, pooping, any of that stuff. I can just focus on getting some more words out of my head and onto a page. oh geez, it didn't happen. It did not happen. And sometimes that is just the way of the world. You'll think, I want to write, I want to get this stuff down, and then you can't do it. Either because your brain just switches off, and I've had that before. I've been like, I want to write, and my brain is just like blank. Oh, bugger. Well, that sucks. Or because of just the environment outside of your head. Very much like we today in the car, the environment outside of your head just gets very busy and you can't control it or shut it off. So I was sat in the waiting area of the dealership, which is admittedly very nice. It's a Toyota dealership. There's nice red like bucket chairs that you can sit in. You can kind of fold yourself up in them. There's a coffee machine with complimentary coffee, tea and coffee. There's a screen with the news. I mean, it's actually a very nice place just to sit. But the wireless earbuds, as the car was rolled into the shop, the car was like, oh, I want to connect to the phone. And I'm like, don't connect to the phone. So I'm gonna pull in here. I think we can do this. Yeah, I can wait for this lad. So the car kept saying, oh, ready to drive. So the Amazon thing kept coming up with, we're in driving mode now. And I'm like, no, disconnect Bluetooth from the car. And every time I disconnected Bluetooth from the car, which was in the garage, which was like next door to the waiting area, kept trying to connect to the phone. So I kept getting messages pop up on the phone. I'm like, I want to listen to music to block all of the showroom sounds out, but I don't want the Bluetooth to try and keep connecting to the damn car. So I ended up turning the Bluetooth off and getting a pair of wired earbuds. I keep a pair of wired earbuds just for that occasion. So I popped them in. I popped on some music, and I find that certain types of music are quite good for when you're writing. I do like Florence and the Machine. I really like Florence and the Machine. And it's because it's at a point where I've listened to the albums so many times that I know what's going on and I know what they, like what each track is, that you can you don't tune it out, but they kind of get in the way of the rest of the world, and you can just focus on getting words on paper, or more accurately, words on your, oh, I know where we are. Oh God, yeah, I know where this goes. All right. This is Angarek, I think. So, yeah, so I was like, okay, I'll listen to Sky Hill. Sky Hill is one of Dan Avidan's early bands. So if you've ever watched Game Grumps, it's Danny and Aaron. Danny is in a band called Ninja Sex Party, and yeah, he's Dan Avidan, or actually more accurately, Lee Dan Avidan, because his first name is really Lee. So I put on Sky Hill, which is really chill music. So I've got my music sorted, I've got the Bluetooth disconnected, I'm in a comfortable environment, and I open up the document, I find my place in the story that I'm currently writing, and just nothing is coming out of my head. And I find myself getting involved in all of the things that are happening around me. An old guy comes in, drops his car off, and he's got to be in his 80s. So this old guy's in his 80s, he drops his car off, he picks up a hire car, and he's outside for like 20 minutes. He's outside for 20 minutes, and he comes back in, and he's like, I can't get the car moving. And I'm so invested in this guy who has picked up a hire car, and he doesn't know how to drive it because his car is now in the shop. And I'm just like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Let's see if we can do this. Thank you, dude. So yeah, I'm getting involved in other people's stories and not writing my own. So I give up. I ended up watching some episodes of Andromeda on my phone. Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. I think it was season 3, episodes 1 through 4. There's a pigeon in the... Pigeon, get out the road! Jeez, the pigeon was just walking across the road, didn't care about car. I'm not going to kill a pigeon. Let's go this way. So yeah, and I'm just not getting into it. And sometimes you just don't. Sometimes it's writing time. You sit down and you just can't get anything out of your head. And I know what you're supposed to do. There are exercises which help you get into writing. So one of the things you can do is like a warm-up exercise. Take one of your characters and just take pen and paper, or take your computer or laptop or whatever you're writing on, and just write a little story about how your character is making breakfast in the morning. Your character gets out of bed and they're in the kitchen and they're making breakfast. It's something most people do every day. They might want some grapefruit, or they might want some Weetabix, or they might not want... oh, it's raining. Or they might want to just have a cup of coffee. So write about them getting breakfast, fixing breakfast. And that is a very simple thing, and you can just do it over and over again with different characters, and that should get you into writing. That should get you into the writing mood. But sometimes, yeah, it just doesn't work. Sometimes you just... Oh, thanks, car. Sometimes you're just like, no, I'm not up for this. And it's okay. It's okay just to put everything away and just do something else. Because I'd actually reached an impasse in the story anyway. The short story that I'm writing, it's all planned out. So I've got the characters, character names, I've got the scenario, I've got the situation, I've got everything down. But one of the things, because it is a short story and not a novel, one of the things that I really wanted to do was just write it sequentially. And there is a reason for that. And the reason is that if you write sequentially, you have different areas in the story that you want to write. So when you come up with an idea for something, you might come up with an idea for something that is like, you might come up with some action scenes, or some really intense drama, or something that really motivates you to get words down. And those are the filling in the sandwich. But the sandwich won't exist without the bread. So what you need to do is you need to write all the structure stuff as well. So you need to get all of the locations, you need to get the environment, you need to get colors and shapes, you need to get it all down and fixed on paper before you can do the scenes with like the Mexican standoff and the great space battle, or whatever bit that you really want to write is. By writing a short story sequentially, it kind of forces you to do all of the background work, because the introduction to the story, is super important. It's blindingly important. It was a dark and rainy night. Oh, jeez. Well, it was... okay. Well, it was a wet and rainy day in Cornwall. I mean, there's a start. There's a wet and rainy day in Cornwall. There's some trouble seeing outside of the car. I guess I didn't quite know where he was. So just following a little blue VW, hoping that this road is the road home. Oh no, rain stopped. Cool. Excellent. So yeah, the introduction is very important. So that's the first thing that you should do. You shouldn't just do the space battle first. You always do the introduction first, in my opinion, when you're writing a story. Ooh, where are we now? Yeah, I'm thinking a left. Wait, you don't know? Don't you have GPS? I do. It's not on. I'm just navigating by... I'm just Zen navigating. I think, I know where I am. I know where I am. Of course I know where I am. We just have to find a route that doesn't take us over the railway line on that particular level crossing. It's fine. So yeah, writing a story, always start at the beginning. It's the logical place to start. You didn't have to. There's no real rules in writing, but for me, like the start is kind of the best place to be. it's where everything begins. So so I started writing the beginning, and I got all that down, and then there was more that came to me. So I'd already written a bunch of notes, already had all these notes down, but there was a little bit more that came to me as I was writing. Sort of avenues and ideas expanded, and that's fine. You can expand on an idea, no problem. So I kind of built upon what I already had, and it's very interesting because the story that I'm writing, most of it came from a dream that I had, and it was a weird dream. And I explained it to Mum, and Mum was like, "Yeah, that's a weird dream." And now I'm just writing it down. I've changed the characters. It's not me in the driving seat. So I've changed all the characters up, and I've added a few extra characters as well, because it's hard to have dialogue when you just have one person. I mean, you can have a person talking to themselves or whatever, and that happens a lot in video games, where you have like Lara Croft and she's like, "Oh, what is this?" Or, "I'm sorry, I have to shoot a deer in order to get meat to live." And it's like, well, who are you talking to? Are you talking to yourself? Oh, okay, this is getting interesting. Let's go in here. He was not stopping. He was not stopping. So yeah, in video games you get a lot of characters talking to the player. So that you're playing a game, your character is talking to themselves, and it's just like, why is my character talking to themselves? Well, they're not. They're talking to you. So you are the other heart. You're the other side of the conversation. You're just a silent witness. When it comes to writing, you can do that. You can talk to the reader, but quite often it just doesn't work that well. So if you have another character, you can bounce ideas back and forth. You can also add a bit of exposition. You'll find in Japanese anime. Yeah, Japanese anime, because there's different types of anime. Things like Ghost in the Shell. There's a lot of exposition that happens in dialogue, and then at the end of an episode you might have some action, but a lot of exposition in dialogue. And exposition is just expanding story, or expanding the world, or expanding plot points. But instead of showing the reader or the viewer or the player those plot points, you're just telling them about them. It's not the best way of doing it, but if you have a short story, you are constrained. There's a huge pothole there. You are constrained through just lack of words. So you might hit 3,000 words and just be like, all right, well, how long is the story going to be? Is a short story 2,000 words? Is it 10,000 words? Like, the minimum length for a novel should be between 60 and 80,000 words. Some people will call a novella 60,000 words, and a novel 80,000 words and above. I know the Night's Dawn trilogy, each of those books is like 300,000 words. They're giant tomes of novels. It's crazy. But for a short story, yeah, it doesn't matter so much. You can kind of bend the rules here and there, but by having two characters, you can expand on what is your world, and it just helps the reader get a lot more information in vastly fewer words. What is going on here? So we have an oil truck delivering oil and a road sweeper sweeping the road. All right. Interesting. So he's doing the gutters. They sweep the gutters with a machine? Yes, they do. And these people are very upset about it. Cool. All right. And we got the red car. How many more people are here? Seems like the whole of Cornwall has turned out today to follow a street sweeper. Lovely. Gonna get my way around here. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are off-grid around here in terms of energy. So you have a lot of like people with oil-fired ovens and central heating which you have a big oil Bowser in the garden, like a big green thing in the garden. But I can't imagine any of these houses being less than £750,000, close to $1 million a pop. Some probably a lot more, being that they're in the countryside, and some of these houses around here are beautiful. But you do have to pay to keep them running. So if you ain't got the money to buy them, you ain't got the money to run them. I should really rob a bank. Banks don't have any money anymore. It's all digital. I can't rob a bank. Not that I would say that on the internet, ever. Just erase that from your brains. Yeah, so where were we before we were rudely interrupted by the machinations of the council and the fuel delivery service? Yeah, dialogue. So I'd introduced another few characters just to get the backstory of the world going, and it turns out that while you might have quite a simple idea initially when you're writing a story, as soon as you start getting into it and fleshing things out, you can go quite deep in terms of lore. In fact, there's probably a minimum amount of backstory that a reader needs in order to make the world more vibrant, more interesting, and make the story as a whole more rereadable. So you read it once and then you read it again and there's more stuff to get. You can go overboard with the descriptions. You can just go completely insane with the amount of stuff and add a bunch of things that are just not necessary for the story. I read a story once, and it was God, I can't remember the guy that wrote it. It was one of these Tom Clancy style books, and the first chapter, the guy went overboard on describing the aircraft. I mean, our protagonist was flying an aeroplane, and they described all the flight systems, and they described the gun and the ammunition, the belt links, and everything. And I was like, I don't need any of this. There's a story and there's a character, and we just need the characters. And it turns out you didn't need any of that because it was a character-driven story, a terribly badly written character-driven story, but it was a novel bought on a station platform before I got onto a train for a 6-hour journey, and I just needed something to read. So yeah, I think I've still got the book somewhere. I honestly can't remember the name of it. It was that interesting. Good. Yeah, so yeah, when you're writing a story, you'll find that you just kind of expand on characters anyway, even if it's just a short story. The bit that I wanted to write is a little bit later on. In fact, the introduction is what I wanted to write, and kind of the end. The bit in the middle is the bit that I got stuck on, because there's a lot of descriptions, a lot of descriptors, but it's stuff that I've not really described before. So I got to a point where I'm just like, is this even working? I don't know if this is working. I need to carry on, but I don't know the words to choose to carry the story on from this point. Do I describe the room that they're in? Do I have to describe how they're going to walk from one side of it to another? Do I need to add names to all of the extra characters that may be there for a paragraph? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, there is mud all over this road. The tractors have been here. That's why you can hear bouncing off the wheel arches. So the tractors have been through, and because the fields are super saturated at the moment, the tractors are pulling mud all over the road. Jeez, it's interesting. So yeah, I'm writing a bit, and I'm just like, I don't know how to continue this. And I picked at it for maybe a week or so. I was just like, do I write this? Do I write that? How do I do this? How do I build upon what I've already written? And I just couldn't work it out. And then I think last week I picked it up again, and I just carried on writing, and that was it. It just it happened, and I wrote another 7 or 8 paragraphs just like that, and I've got to a point where I'm happy and I can pick it up again without too much trouble. I can just be like, yeah, no, let's pick it up and carry on writing a little bit more, because there's not much pressure. I'm gonna have to slow down and stop. Yeah, I am. Let's get around this lad. Just hoping the guy behind us actually noticed that we stopped, because they seem a little bit speedy. I think it's I think that might be the same lady that was following us a few vlogs ago, you know? Cool. Yeah, so one of the things that can happen is your brain, your subconscious, can actually work on a problem. So if you have a problem, especially if you get stuck writing, and you think, I need to carry on with this. I really need to get this sorted. I need to get it fixed. Sometimes forcing yourself is just not the way to do it. Sometimes just knowing the problem and then going to sleep, or just leaving it for a week, or don't leave it to a point where you'll never come back to it, but let your subconscious work on it, and eventually your subconscious, something will bubble up, and you'll come back to it. It's how I remember things anyway. Like, long-term memory retrieval is just something that you shouldn't force. I've met quite a few people who've been like, oh I'm losing my mind, I'm losing my memory. And the issue is not that you're losing your memory, you're just trying to remember things out of context. So I needed to remember the lady that whistled in Kill Bill. And I couldn't remember her name because somebody at work was whistling that tune. And I was like, oh yeah, this is the lady that whistles at the beginning of Kill Bill. What's her name? And I was like, oh, wait a second. And neither of us could remember her name. She was in Splash. And I'm like, yes, she's the mermaid in Splash. What was her name? And I was like, Sean. No, that was the lady from Blade Runner. No, okay. I know it's a boy's name, like nominally a boy's name. And I was like, well, what is going on? It's Daryl Hannah. The name was Daryl Hannah. And I remembered it by not remembering it. I just left a little mental note saying, hey, brain, retrieve this when you have the time. And brain was just like, okay. And it just, like, last night just bubbled up and it was like, oh yeah, that name you wanted? Daryl Hannah. There you go. And it's the same with writing. If you have a problem, just let your brain focus on it. Just let your brain sort things out, and eventually you'll come up with a solution. This car ahead of us is throwing like muddy water all over the car, and the car's got automated wipers. So the car's just like, I'm getting covered in mud. Don't like it. Well, I don't like it because I'm going to clean the car again. I don't like keep having to clean the car. It's stupid. I just have to put fuel in it at some point. It's been a while. How long has it been? Probably about 2 weeks. We've done a couple of vlogs. This might be the 3rd vlog we've done on the same tank of fuel. What? Is your car running on magic? No, it's a hybrid. But does your car run on magic? No, it's a hybrid. Yes, but how come your car doesn't use fuel? It's a hybrid. This guy is also not moving very quickly, so I think they might either be old or dead. I get the feeling that some people might die behind the wheel and the body just steers the car on nerve impulses alone, but the car never gets above like 40 miles an hour. I don't know. Maybe they're just waiting for the man with the red flag to show them how to drive? Question mark. All right. Fun fact: original cars didn't have silencers, and they were super loud. And then mufflers were designed for cars, and the same mechanism that's in a car muffler was also used for silencing firearms. So they share a lineage: silencers for firearms and silencers for cars, which is nice if you live in a country that has cars. We gotta spray the window again, which is gonna be fun because at some point that camera, the 360 camera, will switch off, save the file, and then start again. So I might have to rely on the front camera for so many seconds while we resync. Oh wow! All right. It's a way of doing things. It's a way of recording a video. You have to overcome the technical limitations. So yeah, back to writing. Still happening slowly. There are problems, but with experience, you just overcome them. It's not a race. You don't have to force yourself to do it unless you're being paid to do it, and unless it's your job. What is this? Oh, it's rain. I was like, is it sleet? No, it's rain. Just rain, just regular rain. Cool. He's running over the white line. I genuinely think the guy ahead of us might have actually died. Yeah, it's just a zombie going on nerve impulses. But then nobody drives a Fiesta style anymore, so... Oh, he just went and he's not indicating. No indicators whatsoever. What a knob. Excellent. Well, I'm glad we could have this experience as we once again head towards grey-ass Penzance, but I need tea. I need tea and I need crisps. Or if you happen to be American, potato. Thanks, car. Potato chips. They're German windscreen wipers, don't you know? The old ones disintegrated. So I put German ones on there, but when there's not enough water to make them work, they screech across the screen. I do wonder what it's like living in a different country where there's just not so much rain. I don't know. Maybe it'll be interesting to live in California. Or maybe not, because Californians... I think Californians are the weird Americans. Like, they're Americans, but they're not really Americans. They have all the weird ideas over in California. Washington State. I'd love to go and visit Washington State. They got the trees there, and they're very close to Canada. Or I could just go visit Canada. That'd be nice. Okay, so we're nearly there. So yeah, short story short, been doing a bit more writing, struggling to get comfortable. It's happening slowly. That's it. That's everything. That's all I wanted to talk about. Yeah, god damn, Penzance is grey. Wow, I forgot this town was so depressing. I never normally come here, only if I'm doing a vlog, because it gives me time to actually speak. So, right, tea. I need tea. I need West Country tea. Miles tea. M-I-L-E-S. West Country tea. It's actually really nice. You can get Dorset tea as well, which is quite nice. One of my top tips for making cups of tea, British tea, is run your water through a filter, because tap water has a flavour and you want to get rid of that flavour. Ooh, I've come to Slayer Monster. Yeah, get rid of the flavour of the water and then you can have a nice cup of tea. And then brew it for at least 2.5 minutes. I can't see anything on the camera. It's all covered in mud. Now we can Zen navigate in, it's fine. We got mirrors. And that. Excellent, good, well, good vlog. It's Sunday, everything's very quiet today. Relatively quiet car park compared to how it was just before Christmas. I will need some fuel and I'm gonna need some tea. And you might say, but dude, you've got tea at home. I do. I have Joy, I have praline truffle, I have Thai Fu, I have Miles loose leaf, I have a few Miles tea bags. What else have I got? Ooh, I've got Lady Grey tea bags, I've got Earl Grey tea bags, I've got loose leaf Earl Grey. Well, that's 8. I think I've got a few more, but I can't remember. But yeah, no, I need tea bags, so cool. I'm gonna leave it there. If you like these videos, definitely leave a little like, leave a subscribe. Let me know how you feel. Let me know how you're feeling. I mean, half of you are a world away, and some of you are in the UK. So, you know, we either have shared experiences or you guys have unique and interesting experience. So it's always nice to hear from you guys. Thank you once again, everyone who has donated on Coffee. It genuinely helps, especially in these times when electricity is super expensive. I think that's everything. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you for watching, and you know what? I'll catch you next time.